Eleanor's sudden shift in behavior felt like a profound turning point, one that completely disrupted the rhythm of our once perfect relationship. From what I had described, our connection was built on a foundation of deep trust, unwavering love, and shared dreams. Together, we had weathered countless storms, from financial hardship to personal loss, always emerging stronger, more resilient. Our bond seemed unshakable. We had developed an understanding so intuitive, so harmonious, that it felt almost surreal at times, like the kind of relationship you only read about in fairy tales. We rarely raised our voices, even during disagreements, and never once did a shouting match erupt between us. Even the smallest household hiccups were easily smoothed over with calm conversation. Honestly, I used to joke that our life together was so perfect it bordered on being unrealistic, even a bit dull. But then something happened. Something that shattered the peace in a way I never saw coming. It started on what should have been a normal day. Eleanor, as usual, had gone out to run errands, gotten groceries, and returned home. Nothing out of the ordinary. It was our routine. She did the shopping, and I helped by carrying the bags inside. It worked for us. But that day, everything changed. She stormed through the door with a fury in her eyes, her voice already raised before I could even greet her. "These damn bags," she snapped, her frustration spilling over. I felt my back strain from the weight as I tried to juggle everything in my arms. "Ellie, take it easy," I said, attempting to remain calm. I reached out to her, hoping a simple hug would diffuse the tension, but she rejected me, pushing me away with tears welling up in her eyes. "Why do I always have to do everything?" she yelled. "Can't you just step up for once without me having to ask?" And with that, she stormed out of the house, leaving me standing there, stunned and confused, not knowing what had just happened. I tried to convince myself that it was just a bad day, that she'd cool off and come back when she was ready. But days stretched into weeks, and she didn't return. She ignored my calls, my texts, and never once crossed the threshold of our home. By the third week, I stopped reaching out. I didn't know what else to do. Then, out of the blue, her best friend, Evelyn, showed up at my door. It had been over a month since Eleanor disappeared, and I had no idea where she'd been hiding. To my shock, it turned out she'd been staying at Evelyn's the entire time. When Evelyn walked into my living room, I could sense this wasn't going to be a friendly visit. I wasn't particularly fond of her, and her sudden arrival only heightened my unease. "Hi, Henry," she said, her voice too bright, the fake cheerfulness grating on my nerves. I had never liked her, and now her smug smile only added to the tension. She sauntered over to the couch as if she owned the place, crossing her legs with a defiant air that made my skin crawl. "What do you want, Evelyn? Did Eleanor send you?" I asked bluntly, cutting through the surface-level pleasantries. Evelyn's eyes gleamed with an unsettling satisfaction as she leaned back, making herself at home in a way that only made the situation more uncomfortable. I was seething, irritated by her complete disregard for boundaries. Without a word, she rose from her seat and walked over to me. To my shock, she kissed me forcefully, her hand sliding down toward my waist. I recoiled instinctively, shoving her away. "What the hell are you doing?" I demanded, glaring at her in disbelief. "You're such an idiot," she hissed, her voice dripping with disdain. "I was trying to help you, but clearly you're too stupid to see it." I stood frozen, completely stunned by her audacity, as her words hit me like a punch to the gut. Then she dropped the bombshell. According to Evelyn, Eleanor wasn't the innocent, loyal partner I had thought she was. After her parents passed away, she'd spiraled into a reckless search for something, anything, that would make her feel alive again. She joined a dating site and, apparently, found exactly what she was looking for. The fact that it destroyed everything we had built together didn't seem to matter. "She's ashamed, you know," Evelyn smirked. "She doesn't know how to face you now. But hey, if you cheated too, maybe that evens the playing field. A fresh start and all that." I stood there, dumbfounded, trying to process the utter audacity, the cruelty, and the complete disregard for everything we had. "Get out," I said through gritted teeth, pointing toward the door. Tell Eleanor she can come by for her stuff, but I never want to see her again." With an indifferent shrug, Evelyn walked out, leaving me alone with the deafening silence of betrayal hanging in the air. Her words lingered long after she was gone. The idea that Eleanor had betrayed me so completely, kept secrets so massive they shattered everything we'd built together, left me hollow. It wasn't just losing her that hurt, it was realizing I never truly knew her at all. "Let's get one thing straight," I said, cutting Evelyn off mid-sentence. "This isn't just my apartment. It's hers too. Well, technically, it was my father's place. And by the way, the car she's been driving around on her little dates? That's his too." My voice was steady, but there was an undeniable edge to it. "So, do me a favor. Leave the keys in the mailbox on your way out." With that, I led Evelyn to the door and shut it behind her. There was no drama, no outburst, just the solid click of finality. Surprisingly, I didn't feel much of anything in that moment. By now, I had grown used to being on my own. Her absence didn't claw at me the way I had imagined it would. But beneath the surface, there was a faint, persistent unease, a gnawing feeling that refused to stay quiet. It had been there ever since the day she left. I couldn't shake the feeling that Eleanor hadn't just walked away for no reason. And now, hearing Evelyn's twisted little revelation, it somehow felt easier to accept. At least now I had answers, or so I told myself. The divorce itself was as clean and straightforward as it could get. No messy legal battles, no emotional showdowns. There were no shared assets or complicated entanglements. Eleanor seemed eager to sever ties, and honestly, so was I. She made a few half-hearted attempts to reach out, but I ignored them all. I didn't want to reopen that door, not for her, and certainly not for anyone else. But the car, that was a different story. She flat out refused to return it, dragging out the process longer than it needed to be. Eventually, I had to threaten her with a search warrant. Only then, begrudgingly, did she hand over the keys. Even that felt like pulling teeth, another unpleasant chapter in a story I was desperate to close. I hadn't expected things to end this way. It wasn't the future I had imagined, but it had happened. And life goes on, doesn't it?